This video is about Babylon Systems' double standard and its hypocrisy. For those of you who have not done the research or like to play stupid, we'll call it the system of America. America's political and criminal justice system. America's social system. America's social norms, all combined into one. You happy? All right. In a criminal case, when law enforcement and the DA are trying a criminal organization, they consider its history of criminal activity in court when they're establishing motive. They consider the facts and they connect the dots. If they don't have enough evidence to convict someone, they say, well, these people have been exonerated. But we all know that the real sentiment in the court is that these people are probably guilty. They just did not put their case together effectively enough to convict them. I mean, how often do you hear people say, the DA is wearing a tinfoil hat? He's a weird conspiracy theorist. Law enforcement is full of weirdo conspiracy theorists who are delusional. You never hear that. In fact, we leave it up to law enforcement to take people to the psych ward. Now let's look at Big Pharma's massive criminal rap sheet, if you will. Kickbacks, off-label marketing, Pfizer's experiments on children, all of which they have basically been convicted for. They had to settle or make payouts for, which is basically an admission of guilt, right? Whether they were convicted, whether they lost the lawsuit, or whether they settled it. It's basically an admission of guilt. So they have a long rap sheet. The motive goes without saying. Not only that, they have a long history of unethical experimentation. They have a long history of eugenics. Most of the people who were sterilized after doctors in mental health, psychiatrists, and what have you, recommended these people to be sterilized because they were imbeciles, or they were mentally ill, or they had an STD, or whatever. These were people in psychiatric institutions, nurses, doctors. They compared notes and gave their recommendation. And just like when people are in the psych ward today, the system follows the recommendation of the psychiatrist almost every single time. So now that we've established motive in a way that is credible and indicative of guilt, in a way that would hold up in court, the whole court, the jury, the judge, both lawyers, the defendant, the plaintiff, they would all say, you know what? We cannot deny that establishes a motive. We cannot deny that motive has been established. We cannot deny that there's a link between psychiatry, law enforcement, and Big Pharma. We cannot deny that criminal gangs use pharmaceuticals. We cannot deny that there's a link between organized crime, criminal gangs, psychiatry, Big Pharma, and law enforcement. We cannot deny that in this nation there's a long history of law enforcement being on the take, and psychiatrists who are consultants for pharmaceutical companies sitting on the DSM committee. We cannot deny that. There is motive. There are solid links that are unavoidable. We also cannot deny that there is an extreme amount of hypocrisy at play here. Psychiatrists, Big Pharma, and the Democratic Party have come together to start a movement with feminists that claims to stand in solidarity with people who are quote-unquote mentally ill. They have a tattoo. It's supposed to symbolize this. However, the moment that someone who is given that label accuses the people who have a long history of doing all these things, decades-long history, we will say, you're some kind of a tinfoil hat wearing weirdo. Let's examine this, shall we? Let's look at this double standards with the left and some elements of the right. On the one hand, they say, we stand with you. We feel your pain. On the other hand, they say, whether you're on your medicine or not, you are a tinfoil hat wearing, nutty, delusional weirdo. Stay away from me. We're going to shun you. You're weird. You're sick in the head, pal. And we're going to make fun of you. So let me get this absolutely straight, Big Pharma. The left, psychiatrists, elements of the right. Are you going to make fun of the mentally ill, or do you stand with them? And why are you going to make fun of people who act in a way that you idiots claim is consistent with mental illness for telling the truth in a logical manner, when you would not dare do it to your allies in law enforcement, who are some of the people who will also make fun of these people, mind you. You don't do it to the DA. You don't do it to the judge for not throwing out the case as a tinfoil hat case. But you do it to the people that you claim you stand in solidarity with. The people you claim are mentally ill, which we know that they're not. No, from your perspective, your argument is that these people are mentally ill, you stand in solidarity with them, but you're going to make fun of them. Shame on you. The Democratic Party should be dismantled, psychiatry should be destroyed, and everyone in Big Pharma